Hello there. I thought I'd go through just quickly how I work out how to make pockets and tags and things from book pages. I've got a couple half cut out and I thought I'd just go through it quickly. There's really no measurements because it depends on the size of your book page, how big you want to make the pocket. For example, I've got these two different pages. For me, I like to simply include the text field as the pocket, the bits you see. I like to just use that. So with this one, I'd either use just a column and make a tiny pocket or a tag, or you can make it across the two columns. This page, as you can see, is much narrower. The text field is much smaller, so it makes a really nice size pocket just by using that text field. I've got a couple made here, I'll show you. This, for example, is pocket made from this page using that width of text field. The height, of course, of the pocket can vary depending on what you want to use it for. This one is made from this page and you can see the difference. It's much wider. The width of the text decreased for me because I don't particularly want this white area on the side of the pocket. So let me just show you how I go about it. I'll start with the larger one, and I've cut one out here all ready to go. What I do is decide on the height, and I just trim the top off down to the first line of text, and then I cut this section, which is actually going to be the back of the pocket, from the remains of the page, however tall or short I want it to be. That's the back page, and that's the back of the pocket, and that's cut off. Once I've cut that off, of course, I trim the sides up to the text. This piece, I decide how long I want it. The width isn't important because you need these side panels outside the text field as the flaps that adhere the front of the pocket to the back. And it needs to be about ½ an inch or a couple of centimetres, 1.5 centimetres longer than you need it, because you need a flap on the bottom too. So that's that. The little bit that's left off, I trim to the text field, put it through a punch. In this case I've used this, I think it's a Martha Stewart, yes it is, to create a little border to put along the top. You could actually just punch along the top of the pocket with a punch, but I like to add an extra layer because it strengthens that edge, the top edge of the pocket, because that's where you're going to be sliding things in and out, or adding things, or clipping paper clips onto it, that sort of thing. So it needs to be pretty robust, and so I like to add that separate piece to it. And I should have said at the beginning that all of these pages are double pages. I always glue them together now, having seen on Patricia Viramonte's video that suggestion that she doubles up her pages, and I've always done that since, and to good effect. So that's how you get the various components. This is all cut from one page. This has got the edges cut off. This little bit has got the edges cut off, and this little bit doesn't have the edges cut off. What I've then done is got the scoreboard and scored. Let me just show you, it's probably the easiest way. My dusty old scoreboard. You then score down the side of the text field on both sides, turn it around and score ½ an inch, a centimetre and a half, whatever size you decide you want, along the bottom edge. Having got it all scored up, we need to score along, fold along those lines and just burnish them gently. Some pages, not all pages are made equal, and some papers, if you burnish too hard, will tear and rip, even if it is doubled. This one, for example, it's a Junior Encyclopedia, and it's not the strongest paper, whereas this other smaller page, the paper is beautiful and you can practically do anything you like with it. Once it's scored, I like to, if you're going to distress the edges with some, well, ink up the edges anyway, with some distress inks, which is what I usually use on these. Go around and do it all now, and it's a good idea to do these folded edges before you get in and fold them too far, because the moisture in the ink really does assist with making those folds secure. That's all I need to do on that one. Just leave that for a moment. And I'll go around the edges of this because that's the next piece to get added on. This ink is Gathered Twigs. I quite like the warmth of this colour. There we go. Just leave that to dry for a moment. I'll do this piece while I've got it out. I generally speaking round the corners at the top. Of course that depends entirely on the look you want, what sort of corner rounder you use. It's all up to you. You can vary that or you can leave them straight. There we go. That's all the inking we need to do. What I'll do now is just quickly glue this along, and you can either use a wet glue or you could run a thin strand of double-sided tape along that, a sort of 1/8 of an inch or so would work well. Just a few little dots here and there, and then adhere that right along the top. And press it down into place. Just give it a little bit of extra ink to cover any discrepancy, and that's that front done. All we need to do now, making sure you've got it up the where it needs to go, and make sure when you fold it in that this back piece is inside the fold lines. You want it to be as close as possible within those lines, but you don't want this back piece to be a fraction too wide, because when you fold these side panels in, you'll feel it tensioning up against the back and it'll make a bow, and it doesn't sit properly if you do that. I should have done this before I inked it. You just taper up each of those corners and cut that little square out of what'll be the bottom of that panel. Just ink the top of those in case they show. Don't worry about the back, that won't show at all. And just making sure you've got everything up the right way. And again, you can use double-sided tape or you can use wet glue. I really like this glue because it doesn't impact one little bit on the paper, and truly it doesn't seem to matter which paper I use. This Hallmark Craft Premium Craft Glue never leaves a glue line. It works brilliantly. And I've never found another glue that works with practically anything I throw it at, so I'm really pleased I found that. And there it is. That's the pocket done. And that's one that size from each double page. So that's that one. This small one is exactly the same. Bit of cat hair there. Just look to see, that's the straightest side. The writing is up the right way. Oh, darn cat hair. Shouldn't say that. The poor old darling is so frail. I'll do the corners on this too. And this is the bottom of the pocket, which I have not yet scored, so I'll just do that. Just score down beside the text line. And you can either trim, this is a fairly wide turn up, but I don't mind that. It's on the back of the pocket. It won't show. I haven't done a border punch for this one, but what I've done is using a little heart die, I have cut out a heart shape out of the approximately the middle of that. Now I'll just taper off these corners. The reason I really like doing this so much is because it's so adaptable. And if you've got an extra large page, like an art book or a page out of an atlas or a music page or something like that that's larger, what you can do is simply divide it up into columns. So once you've decided how wide your pocket is going to be, you can divide the larger pages up and then just work from that. That's the front. See how that's buckling up because I've got the fold line there a little too close. So rather than mess with that, I'm just going to trim a fraction off that side of that. That will make it fit. Just punch that corner again. Pop it in there, fold it up, and see that fits now perfectly without any buckling. The little punch there, I'll stick it together and then I'll show you. I don't think I'll edge, yes I will edge this one. I wasn't going to, but I think I will. It does help to give it a finished look, and certainly if you're adding them to a journal, distressing the edge with the same ink, inking the edges with the same type of ink or the same colour, even if it's different fonts and different colour, page, different type of book, that sort of thing, it does tend to give it a slightly more cohesive look, which is something I'm always struggling with. I know if I don't get the cohesion right, then the final result doesn't please me as much as I would like it to, generally speaking. But that just could be me. That could be the look you're going for. You could be one of these people who do wonderful things without worrying about whether the lines are straight or... And to be honest, I wish I was like that, because I'd be a lot happier with the things I produced if I did that. Now, just make sure that this is nice and straight in there. There we go. And there it is, there's the small tag. Now you can't really see the heart, but when you add something to it that's got colour, it does show up nicely. Now these pockets hold, I've used book pages on the back of these little tags too. That's Tim Holtz die. I've just gone through and pulled out some pieces of coloured paper from my stash and cut out the tags and adhered them together, cut out the little hole reinforcers and gone around the edges with some gold acrylic paint on just the Tim Holtz dabber. Seems to last forever, this stuff. Just whiz around the very edges. It helps to disguise any, if there might be any discrepancy between the join, though it shouldn't have any because I've cut them out on the same die, so they should be just fine. These little pockets you can fit, you can fit tags in, goes in there as well. Even that little one holds a goodly sized tag. You can use any book pages to make any of these, and as I say, they look good with any sort of embellishment on them. They don't need to be fancy, they can be dead plain. They could be decorated with offcuts from whatever it is you're making the booklet from. They could have, as I say, the little flowers cut from book pages and coffee stained, felt flowers. You name it. The decoration is entirely up to the journal, the look you want for it. I sometimes also stitch around these, and that adds another different dimension. You practically make them the same way, but you can just stitch if you would like to. You could do cutouts of the top, use the punch and go along the top, that sort of thing. Sky's the limit really with these book pages, and it's really nice to be using some of them up because I've got a bit of a stash there at the moment and I feel guilty whenever I look at them. That's it. See you next time. Bye now.